going on, Jerome's? So we're finally round and third heading home in the NFL draft, as well as who is going to be the Vikings' next quarterback. And the more I think about things, do you just wake up every single morning with a different opinion? Like your brain, while you're sleeping, you're 5 to 6 American hours of sleep a night, and you're just like, completely changed. And with all the love for Daniels and McCarthy and May, maybe that's why teams will indeed stick and pick and take them at the top of the draft. And the Vikings may be in a spot where they need to take Michael Penix Jr. at 11, which I think that it's certainly possible. I think that it's certainly plausible. And I think that it's something that the Vikings could look at because Penix already looks really damn good in purple. Not gonna lie, cannot even lie. Also, you go down the rabbit hole of Kevin O'Connell smiling when McAfee brought up Penix Jr. as well as all the extensive work sending out heaven and earth, the entire staff and brass out to Seattle and put Penix through an extensive workout. And of course, yes, we are taking Penix, my dears. Long story longer. So Burt Breer did up a great piece over at the Monday Morning Quarterback this week. A really deep dive on Penix and McCarthy, and some really interesting things came about of it. Now, we've referenced this before, talk about how coaches are higher on Penix than scouts because scouts have to take in the totality, nailed it, of the prospect. So you do factor in age and medicals, but just coaches looking at the film, they love him. They're in, man. A couple excerpts here. Washington's Heisman finalist stock, Penix, is indeed on a bit of an upswing. He had a nice pro day, no doubt. The 40-yard dash, blah, blah, blah. Penix also showed, in the words of one AFC college scouting director, he has a super strong arm. No way. No. How did you become a college scouting director of an AFC team with he's got a strong arm? That's what I said about Mahomes, too. The arm talent it's impressive, says one NFC executive. Combined with running faster than most thought, he just had a good day. On top of that, he comes off as a humble, confident, and introspective in his meetings with teams after a 6-year, 2-college career. And, yeah, I mean, the whole age thing is going to be a knock against him. And here's the reason why. So age with prospects is that if you're a 23 or 24-year-old kid, that means that you've probably peaked. That you probably peaked in your progression as a player. Now, can you get better? Sure, certainly. But in terms of a 23, 24-year-old kid playing college ball versus a 20, 21-year-old kid playing college ball, that 2-3 year runway really does matter in development, both as a person, personality-wise, work ethic-wise, as well as definitely physically. Where, I mean, some players coming in at 20, 21 years of age, they haven't stopped growing yet. That is a major factor. Plus, it's not so much the rookie contract, it's about the second contract. Because if you're 23, 24 coming into the NFL, once you get to your second contract, you're going to be 27, 28. And then the contract after that, you're going to be in your 30s and you're already done. But now, if you come in at 2021, then you'll be 24, 25 on your first contract, and then you'll be 28, 29 on your second. So that's why that matters. Penix is my number 2 guy, says one offensive coach from an AFC team. I love Penix. He's a stud, a born leader, calm and collected in a genuine way. He's a baller. Shot caller. He turns it loose, can throw it into tight windows. He stands in the pocket, lets plays develop, takes hits, throws it downfield. He's just a winner. That's the thing, too. It's not that Penix can't run. And all these dummies say, oh, Penix is a statue in the pocket. I'm just looking at what. Did people not see him at all in Indiana? That was a major part of his game, right? And the thing about it is that he didn't run because he didn't run because he's hanging in the pocket trying to make a play downfield to McMillan or Dunze or Polk, right? That's what he's trying to do. And that can be a virtue, but that could also be a negative, where if he's just hanging in the pocket for too long, especially given his injury history, sometimes it's better to live and fight another day. And we'll talk about that. Blah, blah, blah. He's just a winner, and He is a winner. I mean, led Washington to an undefeated season into the national championship game. Got dusted by Michigan. It is what it is. Every single Husky got their ass kicked against the Wolverines. It happens, man. The strongest answer I got was easy to understand. Simply put, Penix has things that you can't coach. The deep ball accuracy is off the charts. He throws with anticipation, and he's tough as nails and very smart, very football smart. So where a scout looks at sometimes scattershot accuracy underneath and some issues with movement through the pocket, the coach looks at what he can coach and what he can't, and believes he can fill in the blanks thereafter. That's the whole thing too. It's like every single coach. He didn't work out because of coaching. Mama, I can change him. That is ego, but that's also not a bad thing. And also, I feel like you should always look for what a prospect or a player can do for your team versus what they can't. And I feel like coaches and evaluators focus on do, and us mere mortal fans, we focus on what a player can't do too often. Way too often. Along those lines, I did have one NFC executive call Penix a three-point shooter before the Washington-Michigan title game. Two others I talked to after that agreed with that assessment. Then I watched the championship games and saw Wolverines DC Jesse Minter dare Penix to beat Michigan underneath and go on 10, 12, 14-play drives. Washington couldn't pull it off. Well, also it's because Washington was behind the eight ball because Washington's run defense was very poopy. And, I mean, it's tough to just always take what's underneath when you're down 14. Like that, and you're getting hit, and also your running back Dylan Johnson got hurt too. The optimist coaches would say that he can be fixed with some mechanical work. Mama, I could change him. The pessimist scouts in this case would say he's been in school for 6 years and had great coaching, so it's not like folks haven't been trying, and that goes into the age and also topping out on their progression thing where. 23, 24-year-old kids already maybe topped out on where they could be, but 2021, I mean, that projection could be unlimited. And so, more so than other quarterbacks, this is where I think private workouts will be important for Penix. Giving those coaches a chance to go hands-on with him, the Vikings sent a large contingent and put the quarterback through a rigorous workout of nearly 100 throws, and also Breer talked about how the Vikings were doing classroom work, introduction to the offense, and breaking down certain elements of what they're going to be asked to do with the Vikings, and then seeing out on the field. I think it's a very smart way that they're going about it as opposed to just trying to pile in on some of these pro days. Also, it's fine. The Falcons are in on it too. I mean, that's a great thing. They take a quarterback at 8, even though they just paid Kurt all the money. Now, I'm not overly concerned about the Falcons going that direction. I think that they could be in the market for Dallas Turner or a high-level defensive player for Raheem Morris. But, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, or they could be doing work on him for round 2 or potential trade up in the back end of the first if Penix does fall. Because Penix, a reason why he could slide is because of those medicals. Yes, they are scary. Yes, I fully understand that. But we made the case before. He stayed healthy his 2 years in Washington. It's not like they play two-hand touch in the Pac-12. Rest in power, Pac-12. But it is something to monitor. But all it takes is one team to take that chance. And, I mean, I love watching Penix all year, right? So, if you stay up late on Saturday nights trying to get even on jelly beans, I don't know. All right. But the whole thing about it is that Penix turned in some very gutsy performances because, I mean, you look at Washington, it's like, oh, we got Odunze, McMillan, and Polk, and that defense, and Kalen DeBar. I mean, they should win. Okay, but they were in some really tight games, and pun intended with the Huskies. I mean, they were in some dogfights, and they came out on top. I mean, the shootout against Caleb Williams. 52-42. The late last second heroics against Oregon State, who was number 11 in the country on the road, which is tough too. Winning the Apple Cup against Washington State. He beat Oregon twice, which does matter. Beat a very good Texas team as well, and a very damn good Texas defense. So, I mean, Penix's season is littered with all these heroic performances, but people are still concerned about injuries in Indiana, which is fine, which I don't understand. Like, it's a "what have you done for me lately" world, and that's why the Michigan game is stuck in everyone's craw. But also, it's like, how are you just writing off this amazing season that he put in? He finished second in the Heisman, and frankly, it should have been a little bit closer, not taking anything away from Daniels, but really just pumping up Penix, man. And yeah, he does have things to work on, taking what the defense gives him. He does have supreme confidence in his arm. He does have a 10.7 ADOT. 21% of his attempts were 20-plus yards downfield. And, oh, by the way, he still had a 105.1 quarterback rating on throws 20-plus yards downfield, which is good. It's pretty damn good. Also, I mean, he does have a little bit of Jay Cutler in him in that he just has supreme confidence in his arms, and that can translate down to sometimes shoddy footwork. I mean, Stafford has that too, and Penix has been compared to Stafford quite often. Also, just not forcing it versus cover two because defensive coordinators aren't dummies. Like, they know where Penix's bread is buttered. He wants to take that deep shot. He wants, and the 3-point analogy works out well. Because, I mean, how many times when you saw prime Steph Curry or Klay Thompson just take a 3-pointer from like 30 feet out and it's just the backbreaker? That's just the momentum killer. Where, I mean, if Penix drills one of these deep balls to a Dunze or whoever, it just breaks the other team. And that's why you're sitting with two deep safeties, very deep safeties, probably 15, 18 yards off the ball because, hey, you're not going to beat us deep. Whatever happens, you're not going to beat us deep. Beat us underneath, and you don't have the tolerance for that. And that's something that he does have to develop. Plus, you're throwing that changeup. A lot of times it is rocket balls out there, but having a little bit more touch underneath. And that's the thing, too, where Kevin O'Connell has stressed that accuracy across the middle of the field is his number one attribute. And is it a spot where Penix already has arm talent up here and you can coach all that other stuff? We'll see. Also, he's got to run more. He only had 35 rushing attempts last season because he was hanging in the pocket trying to make a play. But like we said, sometimes it's better to live and fight another day. So taking that check down to your fourth option, or just moving the pocket, taking off, picking up 5 yards and sliding, and just, like I said, living to fight another day. And plus, that running element, which he can obviously run, I mean, going back to Indiana as well as looking at his pro day, I mean, that puts even more stress on the defense. It really does. But also, so this stood out to me too. So just found this when we were just doing a little bit of research, but all right, so play action is an extremely important part of the Kevin O'Connell offense, which is ironic given that the running game last year was very garbage. But play action is where Kirk Cousins really buttered his bread over the last 2 years, and Kurt Respect is one of the best play action quarterbacks in the National Football League. That's why he and KOC worked so well the last 2 years. But Penix Jr. off of play action, this stood out to me. So this really does help when you take those deep shots where, I mean, a lot of times Penix Jr., play action, Dylan Johnson, and then all of a sudden he just rears back with that left arm, cocks it, and just into the stratosphere, baby. But he was PFF's highest graded quarterback off of play action, 93.1, a 71.3% completion percentage off of play action, and generally deeper shots down the field, 10.8 ADOT, 2,090 yards passing, 11.7 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns, 0 goose egg, DeAndre Russell interceptions, as well as a 134.8 NFL quarterback rating. And that's not the Lulu inflated college football quarterback rating. That's the calculated beep bop bop boop NFL quarterback rating on a scale of 158.3, which spicy. So yeah, Penix does have a lot of things to work on, cleaning up some mechanics and also not playing hero ball out there. But guess what? That's the same thing with Caleb Williams. That's the same thing with Drake May. And I understand. I respect where if they're strictly looking off of the tape, I mean, you can make a very good case that Penix is a top 3 quarterback, and he might not even be 3 based on what you see on the field. But everything else with Penix, with the medicals, with the age, I mean, that does factor in. But like I said, if the Vikings are unable or unwilling to get up into the stratosphere for one of the big 4 quarterbacks because A, it's going to be cost prohibitive, or B, the other teams just want the quarterbacks, that's fine. Let's stick and pick and take Penix at 11. Or you may have to have a small move up just to make sure that you box out the Broncos and the Raiders and the Saints and whatever. Just go ahead and do that. But I'm kind of in, man. I'm kind of in. I feel like Kevin O'Connell is indeed in too. So now Penix Jr. is under center. He's got Ty Chandler, Aaron Jones behind him. Play action to Aaron Jones. Penix drops the backs. Cox, deep shot to Addison/Jefferson. Touchdown! He's loose. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, man. Anyways, that's it. Skull production value.